I want you to think about how many homes you sold last year that were your listings. So let's assume you sold 10 listings or 5 listings. What if I told you that you could take that 10 and times it by 5 and have 50 transactions as a result of those 10 listings? Or if you took 5 listings, you times that by 5 and you could have 25 transactions. Does it sound impossible? It's not impossible. It's totally doable. You just got to rethink how you're approaching your listings. Because what happens with most agents is they're flat out lazy. Not you, but most agents. And what happens with it is they take a listing, they put the sign on the ground, and they just wait for it to sell. If it sells, great, they have a transaction. Notice I said that singularly, one transaction, and it's real. They got one transaction. What smart, wise, savvy agents do, superstars do, is they say, hey, I've got one listing, and I can turn this into 5 transactional sides. Now, how can we do that? I'm going to walk you through it right now. What are the 5 transactional sides that we can create? Number one is we can sell the listing that we take, obviously, but it's not a given like it might have been a year ago. About 50% of listings being taken today won't sell the first time out. So what do we need to do? We need to make sure we get the listings really dialed in, get those prices right so we sell the listing we take. That's number one. Number two is to obtain a triggered listing. What's a triggered listing? A triggered listing is the hive mentality that occurs around any given listing in any given neighborhood. What happens when a sign goes up is the rest of the neighborhood notices, and a lot of those families start to say to themselves, hey, they're selling their house. Let's see what they're selling for. They go online, they check it out, they call their spouse, they talk about it over the dinner table, and they say, well, they're selling for X. We could probably sell our homes for X. Wonder where they're moving. Maybe we should move. And you'll notice that you'll see listings cluster. One sign goes up, 2 more go up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Happens all the time. And often it's not the same listing agent because they didn't use the trigger effect. So when you take a listing, what are you going to do? You're going to go talk to those neighbors. You can do it through a note if you're too scared to talk to people in person, but ideally you're going to talk to them by knocking on their door or giving them a call. You can also email them if you have their email address. You can get those from the Red X. So however you're making contact, here's the conversation I'm going to have. I'm going to say, hey, you might have noticed your neighbors listed their house. They listed it with me recently, actually. And I just wanted to reach out and to tell you that there might be some increased activity because we have the property listed. But also, I wanted to offer to you that when the house sells, I can update you on what it sells for because it'll affect your value. Would you like me to do that for you? Now, who's going to say no to that? And people are curious by nature. They're going to say, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, great. If I can grab your email address and maybe your phone number, I'll send you a quick text when we go pending, and then I'll fill you in when it closes on all the details, just so you have it in your records and you know what happened. And of course, if you ever think about selling, I'd love to talk to you as well. Which brings me to something else too. I'm trying to build my marketing plan for this property. Can I ask you just a couple of questions about your experience when you moved in the neighborhood? Now, can I ask you where'd you move here from? They'll say, oh, wherever, California, Arizona, Washington. Great. And before you moved here, what caused you to choose this neighborhood as opposed to all the neighborhoods you looked at in the area? What was the big attractiveness to this property? And then have you liked living in the area? Has this been a good fit for you as you've been here? And how long have you guys been living in the neighborhood now? Great. Well, in all that time, have you ever considered selling? Well, if you do consider selling, I'd love to have that opportunity to talk to you about it. Understand if you're not ready yet, but I'll keep you posted on what happens with the listing. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to be really diligent. I'm going to follow up when that listing goes pending. I'm going to text them. When it closes, I'm going to send them the contact information, and then they're going to be in my database for life. For life. Now, here's the stats behind this. For every 20 people you contact like that, 5% are going to list their house in the next 6 months. 5%. That's 1 out of every 20, by the way. So this is not my numbers. It's just statistical fact. So guarantee you'll generate some listings there. That's a triggered listing. What's the next way I can get a listing? The next way I can get a listing is converting a buyer that calls on the listing or that attends an open house. Now, this should be a given for us. This should be an automatic for us that we can get these listings, but it's often not. And the reason why it's not is because agents are terrible at follow-up. 50% of all real estate leads are never followed up on. So we have to be really, really diligent and good about follow-up. So how do I do this? How do I convert people at an open house or through a phone call? So I'm going to be really good at asking questions. The best salespeople aren't salesy. They're just really good at asking great questions. So somebody calls on my listing, I'm going to say, hey, great, thanks for calling. You picked a great listing. Hey, can I ask you what attracted you about the ad? Because I just want to know what's working and what's not working. Oh, I like this, I like that. So is this a neighborhood specific? Are you interested in this neighborhood? Does this sound like about the right number of bedrooms, right number of bathrooms? You're looking for this amount of square footage? Great. Hey, can I ask you what's your housing situation now? Key question. What's your housing situation now? Right? They'll be like, well, it's this, it's that. Great. Well, if you're interested, I can keep you up to date on what's happening with this house, if there's any price adjustments, if we go pending, if we eventually sell the house. And by the way, I want to clue you in on something. Did you know that most of the best listings don't ever hit MLS? We're in such a low inventory market right now that a lot of them get sold before they hit MLS. But I've got a couple of those unlisted properties that are coming to market that were announced at my office meeting last week that are going to be coming up that I think might be a great fit. Do you mind if I reach out to you if I see those come across my desk? I'm getting permission from them to enter into a relationship, and I'm getting permission to follow up with them. And that's what I want to do. I want to follow up with these folks. So that's another one, is starting to learn how to convert buyers more effectively. Another one is to gain sellers at open houses. That's another huge opportunity for us. So if you're doing open houses, here's the stat for my office is 72% of the people that walk into an open house are actually sellers in disguise. They still have a home to sell. So when they walk in, I want you to rethink your open house. You're not there to convert buyers. You're there to convert sellers. And by knowing that, how do you prepare differently? Well, one way you might prepare differently is by simply setting up your table of stuff that's going to have a listing presentation, right? A sample CMA, a home book of the property. Look at it from this perspective, a beautiful flyer, maybe a video of the house rolling on your iPad. Have all the tools laid out there that you would use for any other seller, and always talk to everybody about their housing situation and what you can offer to them as a potential seller. By doing this, you're going to convert a lot more of these opportunities into appointments and into listings. And the last one, the fifth one, this is the most overlooked strategy right here, is to turn your seller into a buyer and sell them something else. It's amazing how many agents will sell somebody's listing and then they'll lose them as a buyer. It happens all the time. So here's the strategy. When I'm taking the listing, I finished and the clients have signed, I'm going to say, okay, now that we got your property listed, I'm going to go to work on that. But let's talk about finding your dream home now, because we're going to sell this house. I'm going to get it sold for you. So I want to start treating you as a buyer today. And I don't want to wait till we're pending. I want to start now. So let's start talking about that. I'm going to set you up in my automated listing service. So you're going to see every listing that hits the market that matches your criteria. It's going to start today. And we're going to start looking at homes immediately. Your most motivated seller in the world is the one that knows where they're moving. The least motivated seller in the world is the person that doesn't have any idea where they're going. This will unlock another transaction for you. So guys, just rethink your strategy. There's 5 transactions within inside every single listing you're taking. Now, if you like this coaching and you want to go to a whole nother level with your real estate business, you should join us over at eRealEstateCoach and look at our Path Performance Coaching. We've got 20 straight weeks of on-demand coaching paired with hundreds of downloads, scripts and emails and dialogues and social media assets. We've got systems and forms and checklists all in there as well. Then we give you 3 live coaching sessions every single week. Plus, we give you all kinds of tools to help you stay accountable to yourself and your business. So guys, if you want to check it out, the first 2 weeks is absolutely free. You should check it out over there at eRealEstateCoach and The Path. Have a great day. Good selling.